in.
There we go. Okay, so I want to thank Eli, Caitlin, Sawyer, and SAF for helping organize the session, and you for joining us this morning. My co-author is in the presentation is Tim O'Hara from the Forest Resources Association. Tim is based in Cloquet. And I'll talk about those workers, as Eli mentioned, non-immigrant workers who come into the U.S. to provide a variety of services to forest landowners, really with a focus on their tree planting work. These guest workers are collectively known as, or collectively fall into a category known as H2B. For some background, in 2019, across the US, we planted about 1.5 billion seedlings across 3 million acres. In Minnesota, we planted about 6 million acres, 6 million seedlings on 10,000 acres. And about 85% of those seedlings nationally have been planted by these H2B guest workers. So in July 2020, we surveyed 120 businesses that participate through FRA to learn more about the services that they provide and their concerns about the H2B program. So one of the questions looked at the number of, so they're required under the law to first advertise all positions to US people. And in 2019 and 2020, only about 2% of the advertised positions were filled by US workers. And as a quote there suggests, many of the US people don't want to participate in the H2B program as workers because the work is hard. It's itinerant, meaning they're going to move around the country or move from state to state during the course of the work, and it's very seasonal. It's not a full-time job. We asked respondents to give us some thoughts about what's your perception of the program? And over the longer term, they've had a pretty good perception of the program. But more recently, it looks like people are more concerned about their ability to receive all their guest worker visas. So before they can come into the US, they have to have a guest worker visa through the US government. We also asked them about what sort of services do you provide? So 97% of the businesses provide tree planting services, and 60% use H2B guest workers to perform 4 or more activities. And the responding businesses impact about 2.6 million acres in an average year between planting trees, clearing brush, thinning, and applying herbicides. Of those acres, about half of them are associated with planting trees. So most businesses really are very active in planting trees. During mid-year 2020, to retain jobs for US workers, President Trump issued a proclamation which suspended entry of these workers into the US as a way to really protect jobs for US workers in response to the coronavirus. The proclamation was designed to expire at the end of 2020, but President Trump has extended it into through the first quarter of 2021. So we asked workers under this proclamation, what, if anything, would be the impact of it on your business? So 45% of the businesses said they didn't anticipate being able to complete any of their requested work in 2020. And an additional 28% said they didn't anticipate completing up to 50% of their work. So across all respondents, about 1 million acres would not be reforested in 2020 under the president's proclamation. Well, through work of the Forest Resources Association and others who work closely with the White House staff and congressional members, guidance was developed through a national interest exemption, which allowed these forestry employers to demonstrate their work is in the national interest and that these H2B workers provide needed labor for short-term seasonal jobs in the US.
1 minute, Charlie.
The interest exemption then allowed them to continue to come into the US for the next year or so to perform services. So we have a short-term solution then through this national interest exemption. And we know that artificial regeneration is an important tool. We know guest workers serve many important roles, with tree planting really being the most important of all of them. It's increasingly difficult for them to receive their visas. The president's proclamation would have a large impact on their business's ability to work in the US. So we really need a long-term solution through Congress. We're going to continue planting trees across the US, including in Minnesota. So I want to thank the responding businesses, and we're going to do some additional assessments through additional surveys and focus groups just to learn more about this, with the hope then that we can go to the Congress when working through staff members then to get a revision of the H-2B program to ensure the stability of it to bring these workers into the US. I want to thank you.